The Vietnam War was initially a fight between northern Vietnam, which supported communism, and southern Vietnam, which wanted to sustain a democracy. America's involvement in the conflict was primarily due to the Truman Doctrine, which pledged America to protecting any countries being prosecuted with communist takeover. Beginning around 1957, America fought alongside the Southern Vietnamese. By 1964, the fight had been reduced to mainly America and North Vietnam. America kept pushing more and more ground forces onto southern Vietnam until the number of American soldiers had amassed to a whopping 543,000 men. After this apex, the number of ground troops was waned down little by little as America withdrew their soldiers. In January of 1973, a ceasefire was arranged between the opposing sides, just 2 months after all American troops were removed from southern Vietnam. In 1975, fighting was present once more in Vietnam, but this time America was not present to back up the southern Vietnamese. On April 30th of the same year, South Vietnam surrendered to North Vietnam. The total number of fatalities amounted to 1.3 million soldiers, and much of Vietnam was left a wasteland. America's involvement and efforts seemed to be for nothing. Today, Albert Lin shares his thoughts and recollections of what he experienced during his time in the reserves during the Vietnam War. What was your stance on America's involvement in Vietnam and why?
Well, at that time I didn't think I'd be in the Army, and I figured our government had a reason for doing what they were doing, so I kind of backed it.
And I understand that you were enlisted into the military, and was this influenced by the idea that you could be drafted, or did you just do it out of spirit?
It was enlisted. I applied to the Army Reserve and the Air Force, and I did well in both tests. But if I wasn't being drafted, I didn't have to go in, and then the draft board called and said I was going at the end of the month of September, so I had to decide on what to do.
Did you know anyone that was deployed in Vietnam personally, and did they tell you what it was like?
I had 4 people that I knew, and they all got killed.
Oh, sorry to hear that. How did your family react when you enlisted into Vietnam?
They wished me well and said good luck.
And how old were you at this time?
19.
19 years old. Did entering the military obstruct any education plans you had set in place?
No, I had started with the phone company for a couple of months, so I had a job to come back to. I thought about college, but since I got a half-decent job with the phone company, I thought I'd stay with that.
Did you go through any sort of training, and what was it like, if you did?
I went through basic training, which was an experience, and then I went to advanced training for helicopter repairs, and that was I have to admit, all the schools in the military were good teachers and good schools.
Did you ever feel tempted to retraining? Was it ever too difficult for you, or
No.
did you manage?
No, actually, I was probably in better shape than most of the guys there.
Did you know people that were opposed to America's involvement in Vietnam at this time?
No.
None.
Or none that anybody said.
None that anybody said. And were you aware of the divisions of people known as hawks and doves? I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yes, you were aware. And were you aware / were you affected by the social separation they caused?
No.
You were not affected. In the end of 1967, President Johnson hoped to add taxes to afford support in Vietnam. Did this change your stance on America's involvement, the tax increase?
No.
No, it did not.
Didn't affect me.
What was it like when you found out you were not going to be deployed?
I was pretty glad.
And what did you think of President Johnson?
He was all right.
Care to elaborate?
Not really. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He was during a war, and I figured he had his hands tied somewhat. We were in the war. The people that were there, you couldn't leave, and they kept escalating, and we would escalate. I thought the guy had a tough job.
Well, On January 27th, 1973, an armistice or a ceasefire was signed between the U.S., South Vietnam, and North Vietnam. Were you supportive of the ceasefire, or do you believe America should have kept on fighting?
The ceasefire, I believe, left too many openings, which proved after the invasion from North Vietnam that they really didn't negotiate this well. A ceasefire would be good, except a lot of people got executed after the ceasefire and we pulled out. We forced countries into this war, and then we left them get slaughtered after we pulled out. That bothered me.
When you returned from the military, I imagine you saw many families and groups of friends that had suffered losses. What was it like seeing all this heartbreak throughout?
Well, actually, it's very sad. Actually, one of them was, I was back with a phone company, so I had a job, and one of the kids in grade school, I fixed the phone for his mother, and he got killed. And he was a friend, and that was years ago, and she still felt it.
Was there anything you wish you would have done or could have done during your time around the Vietnam War?
No, I pretty well lucked out with all the right decisions.
Care to elaborate on those decisions?
Well, I chose to go with reserves. I was lucky enough that I had a choice between the draft or the reserves or the Air Force. One was 2 years, one was 4 years, one was 6 years. The schooling I got was pretty good. Would have liked to go in the Air Force, but they wouldn't let me be a pilot, so I didn't go in the Air Force. And when I come back, I had started with a phone company, so I had got a job. I had a job to come back to, with a half-teaching job. So actually, I was very fortunate. A lot of people couldn't get jobs when they come back.
Did you know anyone that couldn't get a job?
I bumped into people. I didn't know them. I bumped into people that couldn't get jobs. Now, whether or not they really didn't want jobs, I don't know, but they were unemployed and they couldn't get jobs. But when you dump 500,000 people into the job market, it kind of makes it a stacked job against the workers.
Did you notice any racial effect or influence on who did and didn't get a job once they returned from the war?
Not from the jobs, but the people that came back, there was some racism. For the most part, there wasn't, because when you're in combat, you kind of rely on each other. But there were people that complained, not to be racist. They were white guys, and a lot of the black guys refused to walk point, which was the guy that gets shot first. Your job is to walk on the landmine before the rest of the troops or get shot. And there were a lot of black guys that would not go claiming racism. You're making the black guy go first. Whereas a lot of white guys, he said, the sergeant didn't want to get involved with this. So, and that's only like 1 or 2 platoons. I don't know how it was with all. I'm sure there were good guys, but the racism portion of that was the black guys didn't have to take the dangerous points because it looked racist. And it shouldn't be that way in the military. You go, he goes, you go however you do it. But I heard that 2 or 3 times from different people at different sections. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that was the only racism that I heard. I didn't hear any black people